Hey, it's Shop Talk, baby. This is the show where it's okay to be you. We're talking from Yale to jail and from the church house to the pimp house. Nothing's excluded on Shop Talk. So if you don't have a phone, I suggest you borrow one. Call in and voice your opinion live every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Yeah, that's right, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Don't forget to Shop Talk with your girl, because right here, we keeps it real.
Show them off and make number one. Wicked! Aha! Lex is in the blissy. Famous body in the house. Wicked! Venomous. Alexis. Murder! Yo. Step up in the middle, ladies, love it when me mingle. See me and a tremble, come and make them body tingle. Email me every day, ask me if me single. Me day if I'm selfish, step on house up a shingle. Some boy not like me, so them see me and a wrinkle. And I hold them and fewa, all of them a sprinkle. Can't stop the star, the star off it twinkle. Don't make me take a finger nibble. All the water, what? Girls, 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 more girls. Girls, 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 your girls. Girls, 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 more girls. Girls, girls, girls. I be responsible you command them. Even if I want me, don't command them. No matter why them know we not command them. We never understand them. But not fire, but not back on them. No matter what, woman we not on them. Well, let me say the on them. Come on, let me start expand them. Say I hate us, hate me, but we not really wrong them. We money enough than them. We get them hotter than them. We carry them hotter than them. Alright then. All the water. Girls, 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 more girls. Girls, 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 your girls. Girls, 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 more girls. Girls, 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 your girls. We got the girl them, we love them. Come to God and love them. If them have a problem, check me, we solve them. Pampa, love them, treat them like I love them. If I the woman them, I like them. Sing. All I wanna like we, it not really matter. The girl them say we nice, and we get it hotter. Carry walk go on nice and bamboo get fatter. Don't them with them and go chatter chatter. All the water what? Girls, 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 more girls. Girls, 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 your girls. Girls, 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 more girls. Girls, 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 yeah. Step up in the club, the ladies love it and me mingle. See me and nothing look and me make them body tingle. Email me every day, ask me if me single. Me do ya from starfish, step on house, stop a shingle. Some boy not like me, so them turn up on a wrinkle. And the old man say what? All of them a sprinkle. Can't stop the star, yeah, the star off it twinkle. Murder, all we want are us. Girls, 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 more girls. Girls, 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 your girls. Girls, 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 more girls. Girls, 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 your girls. Keisha, Karen, Dawn, Antoinette, Terry, Carrie, Sherry, Sherry, Angela, Angelina, Shalina, Miss Gertie, Miss Gerda, Rebecca, Punchinella, Angelica, Miss Eileen.
Y'all know the second. Keep your eyes on me, apply that. Get it, don't be timid when you in it, apply that. Love a bone, live alone, leave it. I don't want no drip, I just feel like it's so fine, it's spicy, baby, jump up on it. I guess that's why you like it, baby, come and get this. Takes a lot to excite me, baby, give it all you got. I'm a tough cookie, baby, get the right stuff. You texting me, you know I won't reply. Why you ain't with me when I wasn't this fly? Now I'm on top and now I'm riding sky. Don't need nobody, but I'll take you down tonight. And I'm okay with being nasty. You can hop for all these calls anyway. Nobody tripping, boy, but you gon' have to pay. But when you get it, lick it like a candy cane. Keep your eyes on me, apply. Get it, don't be timid when you in it, fly. love a bone, live alone, leave it. Say, I don't want no crib, baby, spread like it's ready. So fine, spicy, baby, jump up on this. I guess that's why you like it, baby. Come and get this. Takes a lot to excite me, baby. Give it all you got. I'm a thug boogie, baby. Get the right side. Pop it, baby. Twist it, honey. Do it like you mean it, darling. Keep it coming. Ooh, keep it running. Leave it messy. Go ahead and live in it. Swim up in it. Pop it, baby. Twist it, honey. Do it like you mean it, darling. Keep it coming. Ooh, keep it running. Leave it messy. Go ahead and live it. Swim up in it. Your eyes on me, apply. Get it, don't be timid when you in it life. Love a bomb, live alone, leave it. Say, I don't want no grill, baby, spread like it's ready. So fine, spicy, baby, jump up on this. I guess that's why you like it, baby. Come and get this. Takes a lot to excite me, baby. Give it all you got. I'm a thug boogie, baby, get the right spot. Yeah, yeah. Hit it, baby. Hit it, baby. Hit it, baby. Hit it, baby. I said, keep it
All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Shop Talk with Mel. Listen, how is everybody doing today?
Awesome. I'm doing great.
Just awesome, doing great. Let's pipe it. Let's hype it up a little bit. Ask a question. How's everybody doing today? Sounds like everybody is grand. Getting it going. Listen, we are going to start this show. Today's topic is bait and switch. So it is there. And below, if you're joining in, the phone number to call in and voice your opinion live is below. And that number is 619-902-2287, 619-902-2287. All right, wanted to go ahead and put that out there right now. Right now. All right, check this out. Let's go ahead and let's tackle the Shop Talk question of the week. The Shop Talk question of the week is it tacky to bring your own Tupperware to a cookout that you're invited to?
No.
Okay. Okay.
If you're invited and it's a cookout, to me, a cookout to odd people. So, plus you're invited. A lot of cookouts I've been to, it will provide. I take trip. It's like they off.
Something's happening. You scratching and sampling. Up. We lost her. So I'm going to go. There you go.
Something I can do.
There you go. All right.
Oh, I'm back.
You there?
Let me.
Okay. All right. So that was the question. The question was, is it rude to bring Tupperware to a cookout that you're invited to? And let's see, are you good? Or you want to go out and come back in?
I think so.
Yeah, hello? All right.
Let me go out and come in. Try that.
Okay. All right, while she does that and we get the technical difficulty handled, we will talk about the hot topics. Lamar Odom. Ain't heard from him in a minute, right? So check this out. Lamar Odom, what he decided to do was to partner with recovery centers in California. Oh, excuse me. With recovery centers in California because they kind of folded after COVID. You know, the COVID-19 pandemic, it folded. So he decided, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to partner with a few of them. So yes, he did start a GoFundMe. Don't trip. He started a GoFundMe because clearly he couldn't. Well, I ain't going to say clearly. This is just my thoughts that I'm projecting. He probably couldn't handle everything. So the GoFundMe is for food, renovations, to get keep the upkeep on it, and to meet payroll. So shout out to you. Shout out to you, Lamar Odom. Then we got President Biden. Now, remember we were talking about that student loan debt forgiveness? And we're like, okay, well, what are we going to do about it? Well, some people in Congress decided they weren't going to do it. They're like, no, we're not doing that. But it went across President Biden's desk and he vetoed it. Now, listen, we got to pray for President Biden because remember he was doing, I think it was the Air Force. He tripped and fell at the Air Force graduation. And then they said he bumped his head on the aircraft, on the doorway of the aircraft. Now, these are things that can happen to anybody, but they're kind of magnifying it. Pretty much, the election is coming up soon. Trying to count him out, discredit him.
Well, I think age limit on the presidency, I think, is valid. I think that just like you have to take a physical test, psych test to be able to get a driver's license, and I think that it is a job you're being paid for, that you need to be able to physically perform the functions of the duty as well.
Okay.
And that can't, but, I don't think it's unfair to call it into question.
Okay. Well, I like your truth. We'll say the rest of that. Let's get this show started. Because I see we got some YouTubers on that's like, I'm ready. I'm looking for the fight. If you missed last week's show, Bait and Switch with the Men, go ahead and check that out. This is for the women. Now watch this, YouTube listener. And Nate, I know you watching. So we had some people that said, okay, I'm in there. I'm calling y'all out because that's what I do. Then it's time. No call, no show. Where they at?
Oh, man.
Yes. And it's like, and this is a platform for us to say exactly what we don't like and what we like. But here is where I'm going with that. Where I'm going with that is there has to be some validity to the men are winning. Because the women that were coming on the show, be mad all you want, we going to keep it 100. They're married. But here's the thing. Some married and, in long-term relationships have been married. But it's like, don't you want to just speak your truth? And I would think, they said they scared of them. I knew you was out there. But I would think that this is the time to actually say, hey, this is what I want. Or is it like, I don't want to say it. And y'all could come at me. I don't want to say anything or I don't want to come on because I don't want to muddy my waters. Or maybe the partner that I'm with might feel as though that I'm talking about us. When that's not it. We're just talking generally. Not talking about your relationship. Because I think, man, I'd be sitting there. I'd probably be single as all get out the way I talk. Because I'd be reckless. Reckless.
Right. I think that.
But he knows me. So that's the difference, Go ahead.
Yeah. I think that it's a solid case of if it doesn't apply, let it fly. If they're not talking about you, you shouldn't take it personal. Also, a part of it is accountability. You cannot relate to any of the criticisms that are lauded at Black women as a group and not actually qualify for any of those criticisms, but acknowledge that there are other Black women that do. It's the exact same thing with Black men. You cannot actually validate any negative stereotypes about Black men, but still acknowledge that there's a whole lot of Black men that do validate those stereotypes. So if it doesn't apply to you, it just doesn't apply to you.
You keep it going.
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder why, how many women are putting up with a lot of stuff because they just want to hold on to their men since it's such a shortage. Since the stats say 1 in 12, well, let me just hold on to mine. Let me hold tight, girl. Let me hold tight.
Hold tight. And, if that's what you feel is best for you, I'm a huge advocate of just women doing what is in your best interest. And if you feel like your current life situation, you need to hold on to your man, hold on to your man, ma'am. Do that. Do whatever you need to do. But if that means you need to do something different or do something that's more controversial or taboo, then do that too. But I do suspect there's a lot of Black women who don't speak because, they don't want to muddy their own waters, as you say.
And that's kind of foul. And you guys, because I love my fellas. My fan base is more men. You know that, Amber D, from doing the show. And you got good men out here that is trying to figure it out. And it's like, okay, what is it that you guys want? And case in point, to Nate's case in point, let me put it out there. He was talking about just ask for what you ask for. And even Rodney said it. Ask for what you want. What do you want? Just ask for it. Why do we have to go through the whole, play the game, the rigmarole? We got to figure out what it is that you want. Here is the time. And it's like, okay, you can speak and say what you want. And it's your no call, no show. Terminated.
Right. I mean, it's, I feel like you said, Mel, this show is about kitchen table talk. And sometimes people get really uncomfortable when your private conversations and your private opinions are going to be made public. And they want to keep it at the kitchen table.
Oh, I get that. Hey, turn your camera off.
Right.
We have that, but that's all right. I got my girl Amber D, the analyst, is in the building, and trust and believe, we can do this. We can definitely.
That's right.
We can do this. So, if a relationship, if a relationship in a marriage, because we both been there, in a marriage, if the marriage lacks companionship, do you stay or do you go?
As a woman,
yes.
I think that that's your decision. It's up to you. If it's a priority to you, if you're getting some other benefit from the union, then, it's kind of debatable. But if you feel like the negatives outweigh the positives in your marriage, in addition to a lack of companionship, I would say you might as well just exit the situation at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that. I can definitely appreciate that. Just like if there's some other benefit in there, it got to be a whole lot if I lack companionship.
Because I feel like marriage is not just about one thing or two things.
Mm-hmm.
Marriage looks different to different people in different couples. So, like, if you feel like your needs are being fulfilled, but maybe companionship isn't one of them, but like maybe 4 other needs are being fulfilled, then that's good, to me. But, but if companionship is like your main priority and you don't have any other, and you don't, from your own perspective, you don't view any other benefit of that union, it's time to leave.
Okay. Especially, at this stage of the game, let's go to YouTube. Nathan of YouTube said, I'd say try to stay if there's kids involved. Remember, it takes a village. Now, I'm with that.
Oh,
but,
yeah, definitely. I was thinking as far as older people.
See, and that's where I was going to go with that. So if they're adults, is that still the same?
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I think that if you've got minors, then you should really try to work it out. I agree with Nate on that.
Okay. All right. Now let's see. We got Derica. Facebook said, no relationship is going to be perfect. Now, I get that part. However, it has to be perfect for the person. How long, this is my next question to you, since he commented that. How long do you date? How long do you how long are you in an imperfect relationship and you're not married? Y'all just dating. How long do you date this person if the relationship is imperfect? There's the question. How long do you stick around? You're on mute.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Technical difficulties over here. So I think that imperfection is a spectrum. And you can have severely imperfect where like your life is in danger, you're experiencing physical, emotional.
Oh yeah, bye with that. That's immediate.
Right. And then on the other end, it's like, oh, you know, he farted in front of my parents or something. Like, and it's just like really incredibly minor thing, and you're hung up on it, right? So I feel like to cut, especially dating, and again, this kind of goes back to like how we're progressing as an entire society. Women are more independent. Women are, and I think with our snowflake generation, we as a society are focusing more on our own satisfaction and peace of mind and like finding peace within yourself. So the more that we evolve, the less dependence there is on human connections and like romantic relationships. So I feel like when you're just dating and the relationship is imperfect, I feel like it's like 2/3 of the way to minor. So not 50%, like not at the midpoint of the spectrum, because I feel like that's pretty substantial for just dating. Marriage, it maybe kind of makes sense to be right in the middle of the spectrum of imperfect. But if y'all are just dating, about halfway a quarter of the way in between, you know, midway and super minor imperfections, I would cut it off because having, especially for women in today's society, having a man is not the security, social benefit, emotional peace that it used to be. Like, it's just not as much of an asset for women to be in a relationship the way it used to be 75 years ago. Where it's like, you really legitimately need a man, you know, to even be accepted in society.
Okay, so things have changed.
Yeah.
Overall.
The threshold has definitely gone down as far as how much imperfection will a woman tolerate in dating. Okay.
All right, Nathan of YouTube said women equals feelings, men equals obligation.
In dating?
Yeah, I guess overall, you know, just hypothetically speaking. Now, here's my thing with that.
I'm sorry. I just want to...
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think a more accurate would be women equals security, men equals obligation. I think Nate is really emphasizing women's emotions when women are driven by logic to attain security.
We were brought up that way, though. The man being the provider, our household was legit. We knew we weren't going to be homeless, but now things have changed. All right, Bobby Jefferson Jr. of Facebook. Actually, Bobby Jefferson, I can say now. If the relationship is constantly changing for the better, then it can be imperfect. Now, what's your thoughts on that?
Constantly changing for the better. So to me, that sounds like you're growing with each other. You're growing independently as well as growing with each other within the union. That's what it sounded like to me is what he's saying.
Now, here's what I think. Here's what I think. The better for whom? You know, sometimes, you know, one person, they can have one plan and then somebody else has another plan and they're like, oh, this is for the better. And you're like, wait, no, but that's not for the betterment for me. Now, when we talk companionship, say if you have someone who is a hard worker and they're looking at the future and like, okay, this is for the betterment of us, but she needs attention. And I'm going to say the word attention because sometimes attention and companionship gets misconstrued and they be like, oh, she's so needy. It's companionship and not getting that where he's looking at, I'm trying to work on our future here. So that's why I posed the question, the betterment of whom?
Right. And I feel like what Bobby Jefferson of Facebook was saying was that, you know, you're growing independently, but also within the union itself is growing. But I definitely think when you're growing, sometimes you grow apart, or you're growing parallel to each other, but you're not intersecting in the future. Like you're growing independently, and you're growing in the same direction, but there's a lack of it coming together to a us situation, or like the us is not as benefited as each individual, and that can definitely be a problem. And yeah, I also agree with Bobby Jefferson that change is often uncomfortable.
Okay.
And imperfections, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad.
Okay. I want to put this out here because I know we have the questions. Yes, we can both speak to this, both being married, and Amber is a widow. So, like, just to put it out there. Yeah, she know. Let you know what she's talking about. I'll be like, bah! So, that's on my end. All right. So, when you say that the dynamics have changed as far as, like, what women are looking for now, because I know with the younger generation, after you've done, the research, and I kind of looked into the sugar babying thing. So you have your people, and we could just call them out here. You have your Nate Woods that we had on the show last week out there. That's like, my man cave. I'm the man of the house and blah, blah, blah. I want to know what his thought is on sugar baby, where a sugar baby will allow you to take that role.
Well, I feel like I feel like Nate has participated in that conversation about sugar babies, so I think he's all for it. If I remember, maybe I'm wrong, Nate. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's all for it. And I feel like sugaring is just one of those things where it is an intentional, consensual agreement between two people. And what the details of that is really not anybody else's business. And I think that's okay, as long as there's nothing going on behind anybody's back. There is no misunderstanding about what expectations are. And it's just getting really clear. And I feel like the issue that a lot of men have with it is that women are coming to the table with expectations. I think especially Black women are perceived and expected to go into the dating market with below average or no expectations. And so for a Black woman to have expectations, it is interpreted as uppity, entitled.
Okay. And that happens. She thinks she all that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, wait.
You too cute.
Yeah. And then they try to hit you with that first. Be like, you ain't that cute. Okay. Whatever works for you to get you out of here. Whatever you have to say to make you feel better.
Right.
Now, I have to ask you this question. When you're dealing with someone and you invite someone over to your home, do you expect him to bring something with him? If you invite a guy over, for dinner or something like that, do you expect him to bring something?
I mean, I would not expect him to bring anything, but if he did bring something, it's brownie points. You know what I'm saying? It's just like a test. Like you can get extra credit. And that's how I look at, and from the previous episode, as far as, that, to me, that is a display, and I feel like that's kind of what the ladies were getting to. That's a display of bare minimum effort. I'm going to sit here like a bump on a log, and I'm just going to follow instructions. Whereas some men, higher quality, higher value men that women prefer, are the ones that will take the initiative. That doesn't have to be told to wipe their butt, to tie their shoes, to do the basics, give gifts, have remembered anniversaries, things like that. If a woman doesn't have to sit here and tell you to do that, it is seen as an advantage. It is seen as appealing to women. I don't have to micromanage you. So while, yes, I think it's completely unfair to expect a man to bring something when you invited him to the home and you didn't communicate for him to bring something, when a man takes the time to do it, it's absolutely brownie points.
Okay.
Above and beyond.
Okay. See me, I expect it. I expect it. I do. Because even when I'm invited over to someone's place, I bring something.
Yeah.
And even if it's not, it doesn't even have to be anything romantic. Just if somebody invites me over to their home for whatever, for a holiday or something like that, oh, we're cooking. You always bring something. Mm-hmm. That's just the way I was brought up. You're supposed to bring something. Now, if you're going over to your dude's house or whatever, if I don't bring anything for them, I'm at least bringing my drink. I'm a drink.
Okay. Well, okay.
I'm gonna have my little Great Welch's grape pop or something in my hand. I'm gonna have something in case I get thirsty.
Right. I think that personally, I wouldn't do that because I'm not a super formal person. I am aware that is proper etiquette to bring something. That is proper, correct etiquette. I'm just not that formal personally. But anyone who says, oh, wow, Mel, you're so stuck up and bougie in particular. No, that is actually traditional, proper, correct etiquette. So, just throwing that out there.
All right, because you already know I'm getting them little inboxes, like whatever. But like, who you with? Or I'll get that backlash and be like, oh, how's that working for you? Oh, it actually is working. It's working well for me.
I think, okay, so as far as like backlash and stuff, to me, it's interesting the way people respond to you setting a standard that they personally don't meet, and they're choosing to respond with negativity. Like, well, that's why you're alone. That's why you're gonna die alone. Oh yeah, that's why you ain't got a man. And it's just like they're so triggered. And it's instead of just kind of accepting it, like, okay, we're not on the same page. We don't have the same outlook in life, and that's cool. You're not going to vibe and click with everyone. Instead, the immediate response is like negging and diminishing that person.
Negging. Let's explain to the listening audience who probably don't know, or this is their first time listening to Shop Talk with Mel, what negging is.
Negging is a technique used by abusive people
Just put it out there.
To basically diminish the other party. So like an example of negging, okay, so in layman's terms, I think a great example is like backhanded compliments. Like when you think of a backhanded compliment, that's negging. Where it's like, oh, I said something nice, but no, there was an undertone, and the end result was to diminish your sense of self-worth about whatever the compliment, quote unquote, compliment was. That's negging.
Okay. Thank you. Look, okay. Thank you. Now, when you have that person who feel as though they can't meet your expectations and you get the negging, what do you say to that person? Or to the female, anyway, who is actually find themselves accepting that? Because that's what happens. We tend to find ourselves accepting it because, oh, we want a man.
Exactly. And so I think that putting a label on it is helpful. Educating yourself on like what is healthy communication, like what are red flags. I know in the previous episode you guys talked about red flags and like, well, is it a red flag? Is it pink? Was it faded in the sun? Is it orange? Is it green? But if you don't have a vocabulary or a knowledge base of what are red flags or what you should be considering red flags, then you're really, your one arm is tied behind your back. You know what I'm saying? So I think the first step as women is to educate yourself on what are the words, behaviors, actions that are actually quite problematic and concerning. And in the dating market, you should be leery of. Because I do think that women don't know red flags. Sometimes you don't know you don't know because you don't know. And then I feel like also women will ignore, like you had said, they'll ignore red flags because they have this great desire within themselves to have a partner. And that takes self-reflection to A, acknowledge it's present, and then B, that you're making those decisions because of that emotion. And when it's to the point of you're making negative decisions that are negatively impacting you, your emotional state, your mental state, because you have this huge burning desire to have a partner, it's time for you to look at yourself and really, because that's like toxicity. That is when you have a feeling, an emotion that's so big, like that it's just negatively impacting everything, other things in your life. That's a problem, And I think that it's completely natural to want to have a partner, to want to have kids, to want to get married. There's nothing.
That's at a certain age, and then after you hit over 40, you be like, no, bye. This is what I'm looking for. Expectations change. Real talk. Look, I'm like, let me get to this. Like, y'all already know Amber D, the analyst. Let me get to this. Expectations change. When you're younger, you like, okay, you got to be cute. I need you to look like A, B, C, and D. Back in the day, it was like you got to have a long curl. This is what I'm looking for. Because you don't want your offsprings jacked up. So that's what you're looking for, looks. Then when you go to the next phase and you're like, okay, like you said, you grow, you change. Other things become more important. Mm-hmm. Well, if you don't plan on reproducing, yeah, I'm looking for stability. It might be, it's almost like the Shrek, like the Beauty and the Beast type thing. You still got to look like something, but for me, but still, and you were like, well, how did they end up with them? Or you be like, oh, they got married. Be like, that cat, man, she was like it. And now she dating this guy, because we have grown and our expectations are in another place.
Well, and I feel like with young Black ladies, dating just based on looks because you want to have cute babies is really problematic. And I think that as women, and I feel like a lot of the criticism...
Is it problematic?
I think it's incredibly problematic.
Okay.
A lot of women are procreating with men. They're blessing men with babies because they meet their physical criteria, but then they don't meet any other criteria, or the young lady hasn't even figured out what her criteria is. So it's just like, oh, he's cute. He has a nice body. I want to have a baby with him. But he's unemployed. He's uneducated. He don't even like you. He's not even claiming you. He don't want to marry you. He really is not trying to be a father. And even if he tried, he wouldn't probably be good at it. He'd be bumbling through it. Why would you want to have a baby with that man?
If it's planned, I feel you. If it's planned, I feel you.
I feel like there's a lot. It may not, and I don't think it's planned, but it's being willfully obtuse.
Now, see, here's the thing. It's a difference now, because you have a lot of people that are roster dating, and we're gonna get into that.
Okay.
Like at this time, women are looking at the bigger picture. Take it back about 30 years. You're like, okay, this is life. This is what I was exposed to, because we didn't have social media and all that other stuff. So you're like, oh, okay, so this is your world. And you're like, oh, all right. Me personally, did I look at the family unit? I did. I always looked at the family unit. And I'm like, oh, they come from a good family. Boom, boom, boom. Not that I was looking to go and be like, okay, I'm going to have some children with these people. That wasn't it. You know what I mean? And let me be clear, because here we go. I don't have a whole bunch of children with different fathers, just to put that out there. And if you did, it's okay. Like, all right, do you? But I did. I looked at, for guys that I was dating, I looked at their upbringing. So that's a difference where some you didn't, but you did. You had to be cute. Wasn't nobody trying to be with no ugly dude, I guess. I wasn't. You had to be cute. And you still do. Real talk, you still do. Because you find yourself, like, even now, you be like, okay, well, I'm going to, you know what? I did it this way. Let me try to do it this way. Let's see how this works. This guy is attractive because he's intelligent. But I've always been a sapiosexual. Mm-hmm. So that's what I look for anyway. I can have a conversation with this individual. And then you have those who say, oh, okay, well, I'm looking for stability, or I'm tired of, we talked about this, Amber D, working my whole life. Now it's time for me to relax. Let me look for some stability. I'm tired of having to help the air quotes for the listening audience, the black man, his struggle, what he went through, and we still talking about what he went through, and I gotta work so hard and I'm sweating like they said last episode, give me a shovel. I'm not digging no ditches. I'm ready to live comfortably, so I'm gonna date this type of guy. And then you get with that type of guy, and then that type of guy think that they the cat's meow, and you be like, hold up, swole up. No. And then they want to try to beat you down. Speak to that.
So if a man desires to have a woman that's willing to get in the ditch and dig with him, that's nothing wrong with that. That's what he desires. Your question as a woman is, do you want a man who expects you to soil yourself and get down in the ditch that you're not in? Okay, that's why he said get down there with me. And that's what do you desire a man that's how he views his partner? Because he's allowed to have any expectation he wants. That's him, and that's his business. The question as a woman is, do you desire a man like that? Not, is it right or wrong for him to desire that? He gets to desire whatever he wants. Are you attracted to a man like that? Will you entertain a man who is communicating that those are his expectations? For me personally, it's a no. And a big part of that no is because a lot of these men, they will get women that they consider valuable and not have that expectation of them at all.
Okay.
So to me, these men who are saying get in the ditch and dig with me, that's because they view you as a come-up woman, as a mule woman. But if and when they ever ascend to some level of success, they will drop you off and get with a woman who's done no digging whatsoever and is essentially a trophy. And he expects no digging from that woman.
What was that? Was that Waiting to Exhale?
Probably. There's a lot of...
Now look, I'm like, what movie was that? Up here, I done sat here. I think Mary J. Blige sang a song about it. You know her. She make her best music when she down and out.
Right.
But it's like, you done wore me out. You done sat there out and did all this work. And then you go up and leave for the trophy wife.
Yeah. So and what black women really need to just kind of come to terms with is there's a lot of your counterparts that view you as ditch digger worthy. That's what they view you as.
And see, that's what I would think that. If you expect me to do it.
Because they're not asking the Queen of England and the spicy Latina Instagram model to jump in a ditch with them. And no, regardless of what you think or how you feel about it, that is what it is. That's what they're telling you to your face. And, sitting here and questioning the validity of that or the morality of that is not serving you as a woman. You're just wasting your time.
Okay, let's talk the bait and switch. Dating a guy and they come off one way and then they switch on you. Like I was just saying. Like the example I used. You're like, wait, I wouldn't even talk to you any other time. Hold on, wait a minute. Like you ain't even my type. Like how did this happen? And then they flip the script on you.
Well, because we've talked about this before, Mel, and like you said, being able to attain a woman that they view as out of their league boosts their self-esteem, boosts their ego, and then they start acting brand new. So you entering their orbit is a reason why they switched up on you, because now you done put a battery in their back because you done paid attention to them. So
I like that. I like that. Hey, and everybody else start paying attention to them.
Right.
How often did that happen? That you sit there. What you got? Marcus Mason on Facebook saying, people wouldn't even be paying attention to him, and then they date that girl, and then all of a sudden, all these other women coming out the woodwork, and then you call yourself trying to cheat. I go, problem. Michelle Grady of Facebook said they didn't change. They let the true person come out.
Right. And that always happens. And because I it was several episodes we were talking about, okay, like when, because a woman will be like, I was trapped or I couldn't leave because he tied me down, he trapped me with a bunch of kids. And then people do this after they feel secure, after they feel like they've trapped you. That's when the true person comes out. But then the question is, the follow-up question is, are you actually trapped ever at any point? Because you can always choose to leave, you know.
Okay. So on the bait and switch, when they switch, do you stay or leave after time has been invested?
I think it depends on what the switch is. I mean, because these men
These men, go ahead.
They're talking about how women are leaving marriages for nothing. Literally nothing. But when you talk to women and say, why did you choose to divorce? What happened in your marriage? Like, why did you break your family up? And they'll tell you, and it sounds like some pretty bad stuff to me. So, it's not.
You know what my bait and switch would be? My bait and switch would be, you baited me this way. You know, come on, this saying has been forever. How you get them is how you keep them. Or no, how you get them is how you lose them. But whatever you did to get them is how you keep them. We've heard that over and over and over again. It's the same thing. You baited me. Soon as you switch, guess what? I'm like Ludacris. You move, I move. Just like that. It's a switch. You switch, I switch. I'm out. Like, call it what you want. They be like, oh, you're not committed. I've been accused of being not committed. Committed to what? That behavior? No, I'm not committed to bad behavior or being mistreated. I'm not committed to that. I'm committed to how you presented yourself. And this is how you said you were. This is what I saw. And then you change. I'm not committed to that person because I don't know that person. But if off top, you presented yourself as that person and I made a conscious decision to step into that, then let's rock. Then I'll blame myself and I have to be accountable for it. But not if you presented yourself one way and then you change. Yeah, I'm not committed to that person because I don't know who that is. Hold on, let me reintroduce myself. My name is Humpty. Like, Candy, what you think about this?
That is funny. My name is Humpty because really that's the same person with glasses in the nose. Switching up. So
switching up, the bait and switch.
Example. You are silly. But I don't know. Y'all know. I act like I be on here all the time. Like y'all know. Y'all know.
Y'all know, right?
Funny, but I think that it's all about growing. So yeah, you have the option to work with that new person, but why would you? I mean, because the bait is what jumped it off. And then using the word switch is obviously opposite of kind of what the bait is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that, yeah. I think that, yeah, that you would probably move on would be the best thing to do. That's what I would do.
Okay. James Johnson.
I wouldn't play with that.
You wouldn't? Oh, good. James Johnson on Facebook said women created the bait and switch. Do you agree or disagree?
No, women did not. I don't think women created the bait and switch. Go ahead. What do you say, Anthony?
Oh.
I disagree, but I was thinking like, if we take it all the way back to creation, Adam actually did the bait and switch because when God called him out for taking talking to the snake, he said, I don't know what you're talking about. You did it. Even though God had commanded him to, be sovereign over her, right? And so I think that, and then, Eve was operating in her masculine because she was sitting here having a whole conversation with the devil, and then Adam was just sitting there in the corner,
Like what happened? They changed energies?
Just letting her control the situation. And then guy said, "Oh, what did you do?" And he's like, I don't know. You know. So I think actually men started the bait and switch.
Look, we ain't gonna say that was a Gabrielle or Dwayne Wade allegedly relationship. I said alleged. Don't come after me. Let me see. Marcus Mason of Facebook said, "You must understand that whenever you meet anyone, you're first introduced to the imitation, and only after that you might get to see their representative. Usually, you don't know an individual until 6 or 7 years later." Oh, I ain't got 6 or 7 years later to invest. I ain't got that to invest.
And then I think that
it's a cold game.
But the thing is, you don't have to commit to someone until you know them on that level. That's why there was arranged marriages. People were strangers committing to spending their lives together. Like you should be spending the rest of your life getting to know someone. And I agree, you have representatives. And to me, a representative is you putting your best foot forward.
Debate!
You can put forward is still falling short of my expectations. It's only going to go downhill from there because you're presenting the best version of you. And damn, it's still falling short. You know?
Yeah, so why waste 7 years?
Exactly. So, like Mel talked about, the first 3 months of a relationship, it should be fun, easy. There shouldn't even be no problems, right? Because it's just going to go downhill. And it's not just the women or the men, it's both people. It's going to go downhill. You're going to get comfortable. The shininess is going to fade off over time. That's completely natural. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing. But don't let, in my opinion, not knowing the true person is not a reason to not commit. And I feel like that's an excuse a lot of men use. Like, I'm not sure, I don't know her, that I'm still getting to know her. When historically men were marrying women they just met. You know, it doesn't make sense to me personally.
And you're right. Now I want to talk about when you were saying the arranged marriage. Usually I want to put this, I got to educate you. Arranged marriages were for generational wealth.
Right.
Okay, so boom, we got that out there. Now we'll come back here.
Right.
The representative
marriages. Because I've watched a lot of the Queen movies.
Uh-huh.
And I love them because, they're similar, like you guys just said, to real relationships or love at first sight or meeting someone and dating for a while because you're still taking that time to get to know that person.
But you know what? And how they can relate to it is with like Coming to America. That's a new movie, Coming to America 2. When it came out, you saw it and he was like, no, even the very first one. He wanted to marry for love, but it was the arranged marriages was for generational wealth. So we got that. Now back to this bait and switch. Yeah. Commitment to their families.
That's that trap. The trap is there. And then all you need now is to have patience and then get to know the person.
Well, that's...
If you got to work it out because they're doing this castle thing. So you're living in one household or maybe the queen lives in her own quarters. Or whatever.
Yeah, but ain't nobody got a castle here. That's the problem.
Okay.
If he had a castle, then I'd be like, okay, well, maybe I'll work on this switch that you done did on me. But if don't nobody have a castle, apartment, a cottage, a tent, then, let's go. But if you don't have that, something is wrong. Now, the whole, okay, Marcus Mason of Facebook said, good point, Amber. But when you had a whole switch and then, like he was saying, you don't get to know somebody till 6 or 7 years later, watch this. Every 7 years, your allergies, there's a possibility that your allergies change. That's some medical advice for you, lovely people. Every 7 years, so your body is constantly changing. So in 7 years, as soon as you think you might know somebody, they done changed. And even in marriages, you both change when, be like, you're not the person I married. Thank God. You know what I mean? Let's hope that there's some growth. So, of course, you'll have those issues. But in dating, just as Amber said, I always make a point of it. 3 months in dating, the first 3 months is your theory. You can't go like, oh, I used to date her not if it was less than 3 months. No, you didn't. That was a theory. We seeing where this is going. Like, this is a science project. We should be having a good time. Okay? And there should not be any issues. I don't believe, and this is just me personally, in dating, I think you should put your best foot forward in the bait, but be exactly who you are, especially at this age. You shouldn't have to fake the funk and present your representative at this age. Right. This is what I do. I drink. I do this. Can you deal with it or not? Because at this stage of the game, it's like who's willing to put up with your mess? Everybody got their stuff, and are you willing to tolerate it?
Someone compared dating in your 30s and beyond as like going to the Goodwill, and you're basically you're trying to find the best thing that's like has damage that's still been used. And I'm like, I love shopping at the Goodwill because
we're just like, I'm an antique collector.
Some solid, legit treasures.
That's a great analogy, though. I lost you, Amber. That's a good analogy, though.
I agree, but I think that the connotation was that it's a negative thing. But I'm just like, no, like in real life, you can find some great treasures at the Goodwill. Like, just because something is used doesn't inherently mean that it doesn't have value. But, men like to place value on women that they don't apply to themselves. They're really fixated on telling a woman what her value is while not realizing they have low value themselves.
Okay, let me ask you this, ladies. Is body count important? How many women he slept with? Over 40?
Over 40? To me, it's not something will come up. I feel like if a man asks about body count, I think it's a reflection of his insecurity. I just feel like we're grown. We got kids. Like, what are you even talking about, bro? Like, it's weird. It comes off as hella weird.
Oh, okay. Okay. I can appreciate that. That is something. But, like, how many dudes you slept with over 40? But, like, I can't even remember what I had for lunch yesterday. Like,
part of the debate that they're not going to tell you the truth. I don't know where that falls. I don't know about that. How many? What's your body count? You know what I mean? Okay. I don't know where that fit in at all.
I feel like that's
could be 5 years down the road. That's one of them 6 or 7 years discoveries.
The discovery.
Maybe if you socialize a lot, you're like, oh yeah, I used to talk to him. But I used to talk to him. You know what that means. So it's just like maybe that comes years. If that is like one of the first things said, I don't know where that's gonna go. I don't know. That's really weird. But all right, like say they honest, and the guy's like, I did 10. I had 10, and then she like, well, I've had 2. He had 10. She had 2. See, like I don't see the relevance. I'm like, so I don't think it's relevant. All right, so that's my answer.
Okay,
get it together there. Yeah, my answer is. It is not relevant, but down the line, it might come up and
you said in the discovery, you about right, because when you all partying, be like, oh yeah.
They start shape shifting into a different person when she start finding that out years later. Now you look at them like, oh, and that's part of the bait. That's part of why you would. I was gonna ask, would this sex have anything to do with this? Like this bait and switch. You know what I mean? Because that happens.
Go ahead. Amber D, what's your thoughts?
I feel like maybe when you're like 18, that kind of matters. But then even then, because I feel like your body count is more of a reflection of how you relate to your own body and how you relate to your sexuality. And what does that mean when someone has a high body count, male or female, versus what it means when someone has a low body count, male or female. And I feel like she said, in the beginning, that's especially for older people. Younger people, it makes more sense. If you're with a woman and you want to have kids with her, sure, that makes sense. But if you're past childbearing age and you're dating, it just comes off as really weird. And to me, it's more of a reflection of his insecurity because a lot of men don't want to compete sexually. So if a woman has a lot of sexual partners, that means she's experienced. So that means she's going to be able to give you an objective criticism of your performance in the bedroom. And I feel like a big component of men desiring virgins is because they don't want a woman who is sexually experienced and will be able to compare him to other men that she's been with, or understand that different men perform at different levels sexually.
Okay. Nathan from YouTube said, wrong, it matters to a man. So the body count matters to a man. Now, last week's show, if you guys listened to it, they said, and the raw like, I ain't say that they don't want somebody that's just going to lay there. So what is it? And Nate, I know you listening, you said you like a fight in the bedroom. So he liked the challenge.
I think that's a personal preference. And yes, so I didn't understand the question as do men care. I do think men care, but at an age, I think the reason why they care is weird. You know? And I just like the what do you bring to the table question. On a first date or where you're just beginning to get to know a man, to me, those are the kind of questions that are red flags to what his priorities are and where his mind is.
Okay. I'm going to read Nate's comment from YouTube. To a guy, is set your value. I'm not going to pay full price. Seriously, date and marry you. Marry someone who has bodies. Okay. Now, are you okay with a man asking you how much you make?
Initially, no. I think that even for a woman to ask that, it's rude. I think that's poor etiquette when you're just getting to know someone. But down the road, yes, if the relationship is becoming serious and you're talking about combining your lives together, that's also going to talk about your finances and combining finances. So, of course, you're going to need to know that eventually. But again, asking that right off the bat, asking body count right off the bat, asking what you're bringing to the table right off the bat, that sounds like a mooch. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not you're getting to know someone.
Okay.
You know? And I feel like these men who kind of ascribe to this and want to validate this, the reality is they're presenting themselves to a lot of women in a very undesirable manner if you're asking those kind of questions right off the bat.
Okay, what's your thoughts, Candy? Is it rude for a guy?
I guess it's such a major thing these days. How much you're making and what you're doing.
Now, what you doing that's a good way to ask that. So what do you do? And then you don't have to actually, fellas, listen. That's what you do.
I mean, social media, they going to your page before they even meet you. They looking all at everything
research,
you're doing, your background. So I think it's open game now. Yeah, how much you make? Cough it up. What's going on? What's going on in your life?
Because some guys, listen, they know that they're the ones that's winning and they know that there's a shortage. So they're like, I'm not dealing with, they said they are not the ones that I talk to. I'm not dealing with a bum chick. Don't be asking me for no drink. If I choose to give you a drink, I will. They just don't want bum chicks because they know that they're at an advantage with the ratio being 1 in 12. James Johnson of Facebook said, women ask those questions before the first date. It's important to some. Let's see. Okay, Nate said from YouTube, men don't worry about money. We worry about bodies. He back to that. And it can go both ways, but this is a good way. Candy actually brought it up. When you ask, so what is it that you do? When you find out what they do, you don't have to ask them how much they make, because if you're researching the social media page and all that good stuff, you can go to the internet and see what's the lower range of this particular occupation. So you could kind of...
Exactly. And then you can get even more detailed by asking them what they do, what their field, and you can Google what the median income for that field is, and then be like, oh, how long have you been doing it? So if they've been in that field for 10 years, they're going to be on the higher end. So you can figure out how much a man makes without bold-faced asking how much money do you make. Because I do think that is rude from a man or for a woman. It's rude. It's poor etiquette. You should not be doing that.
No, and most women, watch this. Most women don't even know how much they make a year. Let me tell you why. Because they never really thought about it. It's like I know how much I make an hour, and we're living life. That you be like, oh, and then when you realize how much you make a year, you be like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? Not even realizing it, especially if no one's asking you that question. So it's not going to be posed that way. You know what I mean? Your response won't be, oh, I make so much a year. Where I would think a man being a provider, that's why that question comes out that way, because they know how much they make a year, and then there's your budget, where we just living life and having a good time and like, oh, okay. Then we'll realize how much we really waste. You'll be like, oh, like, I'm about to buy this and I'm about to buy that. Oh, wait a second. So ladies, if a guy is asking you questions, now they're going to be like, before they be like, oh, he really into me. Because how many times have your homegirl been like, oh, he asked me what I did. He really care about me. What I did, what I do. Oh, he's have a great day at work. Now, after watching this show, you're going to be like, now why you want to know that? What's your angle? Be feeling some type of way. Now, with James Johnson's question, when he said women ask those before the first date, that's foul. That's rude.
I think asking, like I said, to me, it's an etiquette thing. Like, there is, and I think for our sexual health and well-being, it's okay, especially if, and it's usually the man that will broach the subject of sex. Then if it's brought up, then it's absolutely appropriate to ask, okay, I still don't think how many you've been with is relevant. When was your last sexual encounter is an appropriate question. When was the last time you were tested is an appropriate question.
I agree.
So man is broaching the sexual subject. Don't be surprised when she asks you those types of questions. And then like we already discussed, you can kind of figure out where a man is financially without directly asking. And then what was the other rude question?
I think that was it. What was it? How much you make?
Count,
body count. Wait, Candy, you're mute. Okay, go ahead. What you say?
I was just telling his body count and
body count. How much you make an hour? Well, how much you make a year? Yeah, and I think that was just the two.
I thought it was 3.
It probably was. It'll come back.
Okay, yeah, but yeah, you can. So, but yeah, as far as body count. And in my experience, men like to get very sexual right in the beginning. And if you're going to sit here and talk about sex, then it's you're introducing the subject. You're opening yourself up to be asked those questions.
Okay, so if he asks, "What's your body count?" and I ask, "How much you make?"
Right.
Is that fair exchange?
It's fair exchange. Or a man, you're talking to a man, you're getting to know him, and he's like, oh, what's your body count? Or, oh, can I spend the night? Like, am I gonna get some? Or if I take you on a date, and then you respond, well, how big is your dick? You broach the subject. Like, if you are comfortable asking that question, you should not broach the subject. So it is what it is.
There ain't no bait and switch here. Just keep it 100.
That was the third rude question. I knew it.
What was it?
What do you bring to the table?
Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, again, you're asking a woman, what do you bring to the table? And then you want to get offended because she tells you and then asks you, okay, how much do you earn? You broach the subject.
So, can't take it.
Right.
That'll do it. Okay. Daryl Jones of Facebook said, what about being evenly yoked? That's exactly what this whole thing is about. The bait and switch. You start off being evenly yoked, you think, but they present the representative, and then you realize that we are not the same.
Unequally yoked.
Yeah, and
okay.
I don't want to go into the details of what a yolk is when we talk about an egg yolk, but you guys look that up, YOKE, and you'll see where you had two animals, they had the yolk around their neck. And if they're going in two different directions, it's a constant fight. So when you hear that, no, that's what it is. When you're unevenly yoked, you can't move. But if you guys are going in the same direction because you're yoked together, then you can move. But somebody somewhere is playing. And then 6 to 7 years go by and you realize I can't stand this person. And then you got your, then we on the first 48 or whoever, Dateline. And you like, you should have just told me off top this wasn't going to work. We ain't got to get this far. You know what I mean? And I just feel like even over 30 now, because people are so mature, when you're dating over 30, you know what it is that you want and what you're looking for. So why not just present it and not waste time? Time is something we can't get back. I ain't that thirsty. Like, bye. If this ain't going to work, it's not going to work. We can still be cool. Oh, you don't like to work on nothing. Why are we working and we are collecting data? This is the dating process. We are learning each other to see if this is going to work. Why is it so hard? There should be no effort in collecting data.
So that's what dating comes from, data.
Boom. That's what I said. The root word, honey.
We're dating.
Dating, collecting data.
Collecting data, yeah.
I think that the issue is that men expect women to give chances and to be willing to put in work in a like in the non-committal temporary space of dating. It's like you're in a period in the life of your relationship where it's non-committal. There's no promises, there's no commitment, but men still expect you to work through challenges and to give them chances. And it's like, we're not even there yet. That's for like further down the road when things are more solidified between us. We're just getting to know each other. I barely know you. Why do you expect me to elect to take on burdens and work through issues when that is really not appropriate for what stage of the relationship is at? Okay. And I feel like it comes from laziness.
Okay. When you're dating someone, ladies, when you're dating someone, hear me, dating, and you find out that he is dating someone else, do you consider that cheating?
Now, see, that's the bodies that is more important to me. In the present time, how many people are you sleeping with? Not
currently.
In the past, right? And because there are people with more partners, especially women now. And so they said, do you realize that we're on a mission? Do you realize we're on a mission? We're on a mission, too. So, yes, sir, we do know you're on a mission. I'm just answering one of the...
yeah, I didn't even read it. Yeah, I got it.
But, yeah, that's the body count right there that's more relevant. That's all I want to say, the present time, you know, when you meet somebody. And so I think it's a legit question. And that opens doors, right, to learning about each other, to some data, to some numbers. So,
like, let's collect it and see what's happening. Am I willing to deal with this? Let's see your stats. What we working with?
Because honesty there would start for a great relationship. Because you just meeting. Now, some people be lonely, lonesome, and coming, you know, and they haven't been out with anyone. It's hard to, you know, I imagine it's hard to date somebody who's coming out like that, as opposed to a woman who's dating and on her mission, versus a woman who's just been alone or just broke up out of a relationship or divorced. Because we talking all ages now,
right?
So yeah. So that's, I think, is an important question.
Okay, so Nada of YouTube said it can work for what a man wants. Southern burp. If you watched last week's episode. But the women are wanting and expecting more. Who says that? Him.
Right, yeah, that's his perspective, and I think that because I feel like men, for the most part, are expecting, or they're seeking one thing. So, as a woman, it doesn't serve you to give them the one thing they're actually seeking, they actually value you for free. You're giving it away without getting anything in exchange, or the exchange is not in your favor. It's not an equal exchange, and I feel like women are not placing a high enough value on their sexual access.
Okay. Rodney Douglas of Facebook said, what if the other woman he's seen, they just going out to eat and stuff like that, no sex? Can the woman handle that?
It's not about handling, it's about accepting or rejecting. And some women will choose to accept that. Some women will choose to reject that.
Okay. Because that's not dating. I mean, that don't have to be dating. That's just going out. You know what I mean? That can be just like a friendship thing.
Well, I mean, that depends on if that's what it's being labeled as.
Okay, Michelle Grady of Atlanta says, dating, or Facebook says, dating is hard, period, because too many games are being played. I agree, but when you're collecting the data, that's when you determine, am I willing to do this? Do I feel like dealing with this individual? Do I want to play the game? You know what I mean?
I think that as far as playing games, to me, when I hear games, I hear dishonesty.
There you go.
The woman, whereas it's the man, when you're not operating with honesty and integrity, that is games. If a man tells you to hit your face, he's not looking for a relationship. That's not games. That is communication. Just because it's something you don't hear doesn't mean it's a problem. So if a man's being transparent with you about being non-committal, about entertaining multiple women, it is now on you, woman, to accept or to reject. It is not your job to change, educate, inform, criticize, or bash that man for being honest with you about what he wants and what he doesn't want, or what he's doing and what he's not doing.
Okay. Daryl Jones of Facebook said, if you're a church person but the other isn't, but everything else lines up, would this be a problem for you to continue to date this person, male? Absolutely, it will be a problem. Because that depends on what your deal breakers are. And if that's a deal breaker, everything else can be grand. But if this is a deal breaker for me, guess what? I'm out.
That's unequally yoked.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Amber D for president. That's funny. That's from YouTube. But yeah, that is unequally yoked. Now watch this though. You can be in the church and have different denominations. That's unevenly yoked. So, it could go on and on and on. But my thoughts are, find out what your deal breakers are. Something that okay, I got you, Amber D. Whatever it is that you like, okay, here's what I like. Here's what I'm willing to tolerate at this age. Here's what I'm not willing to tolerate. And if there's something over there under the not willing to tolerate, I don't care if the pros outweigh the cons. If I am not willing to tolerate this, don't waver, because it's only going to go down. It's going to be time invested, and you'll end up resenting each other and saying, you lied, you playing games, when in actuality they didn't, just as Amber D said. Off top, this was presented. Now, you have people who will communicate with the opposite sex, and one of them feel like they're in a relationship when it was never discussed. It's like, well, wait a minute. Go ahead, Amber D.
So I just wanted to say, as far as like the religious differences, as you pointed out, it is a deal breaker for a lot of people, and just society as a whole, as a nation. We're moving away from religion, organized religion. So I do think that for a lot of people, different denominations or different religious belief is not a deal breaker. But it's up to you to know what your deal breakers are. Like, that's your responsibility to know what is critical to you.
Okay, let's talk religion. Let's talk not even just the nation, because you got different ones, Sunni and all that. Muslim and a Christian. And we know Muslims they read the Bible as well. That will be an issue uneven because of the practices. So that will be unevenly yoked.
Absolutely. I mean, so I will say that, like, my late husband, he was from a different race, a different nationality, and from a different religion. And we were together for 10 years. And so, like I said, it really just comes down to
Who's going to revert?
Well, no, just what are your deal breakers, and then how do you work through it? Is there a middle ground that you can meet on? You know what I'm saying? Can you work through it? Do you even desire to work through it? And I feel like it comes down to self-awareness and being honest with each other. And if you are like, okay, I've come to the conclusion, deal breaker for me, I can't deal with this. I can't accept this. There's no middle ground for us to reach. We need to go our separate ways. Okay, cool.
But that should be in the bait stage, right? Not the switch.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, let me pry.
We're supposed to be collecting data.
Okay, let me pry. You said a different religion than you. So when you guys were dating, what did you say? Or what did he say? How did that work?
I mean, we talked about it, but neither one of us were very religious. So we didn't view it as a problem because
okay.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like
no, all right.
It wasn't, exactly. When you know what I'm saying? We was really just focused on enjoying each other's company.
Okay.
So it wasn't a topic, and then as things progressed, we were able to find a middle ground because again, it's one of those things where you knew that from the beginning. So you can't sit here and be like, oh my God, there's a no, you knew that. You knew that from the beginning. So,
and then having children in that situation, which religion do we go with?
Right. Well, we came to the agreement, we just let him decide. We exposed him to both. And
okay.
Then, when he is of age and of consciousness, then he can make that decision for himself.
That's fair.
So, again, it's like, if it's a deal breaker, fine. And not, and if you think you can meet on a middle ground, okay, fine. But both people have to agree to that.
Okay. Now let's talk roster dating. Is it a good look or not a good look for females?
So I feel like this is a kitchen table conversation.
Speak generally.
So I think amongst women, and when women are trying to help other women, it is absolutely a good thing for a lot of women. Because women have a propensity to overinvest and to invest too early. And it really helps you to not do that. And then also keeps it very fresh in your mind that you're the prize and you have lots of options. And I think that there's a lot of men who are really desire women to be in the dating market operating out of desperation, operating out of lack, thinking, I just have to accept this because it's 1 in 12, and so, oh God. So, I think that, female locker room talk, it is absolutely a good thing. I can understand why men would view it as undesirable, but that's not for men to know.
Watch it. The ratio is even more sad when you're dealing with the black man. So I'll ask you this question. When you're dating or out in the field, and not you personally, but just out there, like, okay, I'm in the dating field. Am I able, and I'm using air quotes for a listening audience, to date outside of my race? Because my sisters or my brothers might have a problem with me doing so. Did I confuse you?
No. If you look at the data, black men procreate, date, and marry outside of their race at a substantial.
But we can't. But go ahead.
Than black women. So it truly is irrelevant. It ought to be irrelevant because even if they have a problem with you doing it, they probably have a relative, a male relative, friend, brother, sibling, whatever, that's doing it or has done it in his past. So it's actually irrelevant. And I think if you are being objective, you can acknowledge how irrelevant it actually is because they're already doing it. They've been doing it for decades, and they do it at a much higher rate than black women do. So it's a moot point.
Okay. Amber, do you want to go read the comment?
So Carla Lee of Facebook said, operating out of my time clock is running out. Right. Yes, exactly. Also, okay, sorry, again, Mel, you can definitely chime in this medically wise. Men do have an expiration date. It has been documented, especially if you're learning about fertility. The quality of sperm men produce decreases as they age. The likelihood of birth defects increases with older sperm. So they have their own biological clock themselves. Also, when women hit the age of 35, first of all, that's that number, that age was from like 1900s. It's actually quite out of date. Secondly, women's fertility does not drop off at the age of 35. It starts to decrease. It is a gentle slope downward of decreasing fertility. There is not a wall of fertility you hit where you can no longer have children. It's a gradual decrease. Just wanted to point that out.
Okay, let's see here. Let's go to the comments. Nathan posted talking about 800 billion. Yeah, but okay. We already gave you the data and the information that happens with that.
Okay.
All right, Rodney Douglas of Facebook said, me personally, date who you want to date. You don't owe no explanations. Be happy. Life is too short. And I had to post that because it is the truth. Okay. Well, look at here. Michelle Grady of Facebook said my grandmother had a child at 50.
Exactly. So I think, again, it's another scare tactic. My issue is that a lot of these criticisms, to me, the way I receive it, they're coming from a place of negativity. They want you to feel bad. They want you to feel limited. They want you to feel isolated and like you don't have options, and that, it's coming from a very negative place. A lot of the criticisms I hear, and I've had tons of criticisms for Black women, but when it comes to like dating, procreation, marriage, it sounds like a lot of scare tactics to me.
Scare tactics and intimidation.
Yes.
And they'll be upset, but the intimidation is there. So here you are, you have your Black queen, you're a Black queen debate. Oh, you are this, you are that. And then the switch is, well, you ain't all that. And then they start talking about your family. I have witnessed this stuff, okay? They start talking about, well, your mother did this. This is your Black man. Sir, is this a soap opera? What's happening here? And did we switch positions? Because I look and I'm like, man, I can't believe she's with him. And then you know how that is when you put a glass against the wall from your neighbor. And you'll be like, they really over there arguing. And he is putting her down and tearing her down. And when she decides to leave, then you start working on her family and she still leaves. And you're there and she's the breadwinner. But for some unknown reason, she comes back because that's her definition of love. Why? Because he invested. And that was the answer. Well, we've been together for so long. She said, he's been with me for 10 years. Ma'am, if you did it like this, and if you did, right. And if you did this for 10 years, you want to sign up to do it for another 10?
Yeah.
Like, when is enough? But you have and not all, watch me. You have some Black men who will tear their Black queen down because that's how it started. And then she's constantly chasing exactly what he told her. Well, I know he's a good man. You chasing potential. He presented this, or his representative, and then who he is actually came out because he called you a queen. He did all this. So during the entire dating phase, you fell in love with this guy. And then you found out who this guy was 10 years later, but you still chasing that guy. The initial feeling that, let's be honest, when you first get into a relationship, will that feeling come back again?
No.
Because you growing up. You grow.
All throughout human history, different races, different religions, women are actually, brought up to view marriage, commitment from, legacy, from security. Because whether a man is rich or he's poor, he can treat you like crap. He can dog you out. He can cheat on you. There's this narrative that, oh, well, because he's blue collar, he'll be loyal. What? The devil is a lie.
Right?
And at the end of the day, marriage benefits men. And women take on huge risks, especially Black women, when it comes to birthing and pregnancy, right? That you are putting it, first of all, you're compromised, you're weak. You have this foreign entity sucking all of your nutrients out of your body. And when you're in that weak period, it's important to be with a man who's able to provide for you and provide for your offspring. So, and as Nate has mentioned, when dating, men are looking at a woman's past. Women should also be looking at a man's past and not his future, not dating for potential. Look at what he can do for you right now in this moment. If it's lacking, move on.
Now, you brought up a good point. I'm going to go with that and then I'll read the comment. You said men are looking at the woman's past and women need to look at the man's past. Here's my thing with that. In marriage, when you get married, think about it. You said marriage benefits the man. Okay. Do you obviously believe that? Mm-hmm. But watch what happens when you say I do. As a female, I'm getting married. We all married, been married, the whole nine. I'm about to get married. As a female, I'm looking at my future. Mm-hmm. Think about it. As a male, talking to men, they're looking at everything they have to give up, which is their past. So that's why I'm like, wait a minute. So we will continue as women to look at the future. That's all I had to say with that part of it. I'm trying to catch up with the comments. Give me a little bit. Daryl Jones of Facebook said, honest communication is key from the start because I've seen a couple, one Democrat and one Republican didn't make it because of disagreements in politics.
Yeah,
I say politics.
Again, it goes back to that. What is your deal breaker? If your political beliefs are a deal breaker for you, okay. And to me that sounds weird, but to each his own. And again, back to etiquette and stuff. Historically, talking about politics is considered rude. Okay, here we go. Nate from YouTube said, so with all that said, you don't see that women have to be responsible in their choices. I absolutely believe that women have to be responsible in their choices. And since you brought that up, let me ask you this. Isn't it interesting? Because I asked a question that I'm going to pose to you guys. Why is there a stark difference between men cheating versus women cheating? Now that's the question. But let me go to Nate, to his comment. It's mighty interesting that when a man cheats, it's more, people accept it more. Mm-hmm. It's more acceptable in the community. But when a woman cheats, it's not accepted. And it's always a reason. Her self-esteem is low. Oh, she cheated because of this. Oh, you out there and you have women that be like, oh, I don't have a problem. Yeah, if I ain't getting what I want at home, I'm out there. Why does it always have to deal with her mind? Or, yeah, you need to think better of yourself. But nobody's telling the guy that. Well, there's been studies on infidelity in relationships, and it was published somewhere kind of recent. It was like a recent study done. And basically, people who cheat, it's the manifestation of low self-esteem. It's like a trifecta, perfect storm of they have low self-esteem, they have low self-worth, they're having challenges in their union, and something else that I can't even remember. But it was a study done, and yeah, it's an internal thing going on with the cheater within themselves. And that's why people cheat, basically. But as far as the gender disparity in cheating and how it's perceived socially, I think that it basically comes down to men being fragile being like emotionally fragile and being hypocrites. It comes from a space of hypocrisy, and hypocrisy is a negative quality. It's not a good thing, and that's all there is to it. It's not good to be a hypocrite. So if you're cheating on someone and then you get cheated on, then it just, that's karma. As someone had mentioned in the last episode, that sounds like karma. Okay, you can sit here and inflict pain on someone and then feel some type of way because that exact same pain was inflicted on you. That is a character flaw. If you're going to accept your own hypocrisy and not say, man, I need to work on that because that is a character flaw, there is something wrong with you. Sorry.
You know what I think personally with this whole get back as far as like cheating, like he cheated on me, so I'm going to cheat on him. You wanted to do it. Because that get back, I don't buy it. Me personally. Listen, I always wanted to do this, so this is my pass.
I think it's a disrespect to the union. Like, you don't have respect for the union, and that's why you cheated. And then they went and showed that union the same level of disrespect.
They disrespected each other. They added another body. Because I would rather just be like, I'm out. Bye. Exactly. See you. And here's the thing. And yeah, you disrespected the union, but more importantly, you disrespected me. Right. Now you have where some men feel as though, well, I'm not getting it at home. This is what I want. And I'm going to go out here. If I don't get it from you, I'm going to go out here and get it from somebody else. Now that's open communication. But can we handle it when we ask for it?
Well, I think regardless of its open communication, I think that if that's how you feel, then you should end the union.
But if you're telling, I don't think that's saying I want to end the union. That's saying I desire this. And I'm asking you for this. And then if you give it some time and it doesn't happen, and then you just speak your truth, why is that disrespect? Because you didn't present it with a bow?
I think it's because it sounds like growth has happened, change has happened, because I'm guessing it wasn't like that from the very beginning and this particular need was never met. Or maybe you just acquired a new need and now you're asking your spouse to be accommodating, and then your spouse doesn't want to accommodate you. Well, it sounds like you've grown apart.
Okay.
Okay,
I can see that.
Okay, it happens, but
what is this? He acquires a new need, and you're like, okay, well, we've been together for 30-something years or whatever, and he's desiring something new. And you like, well, where you learn that from? Come on, ladies, talk to me. Then there's an argument. Go ahead, talk to me.
So where you learn that from? That's a good question.
Do we really want the open communication, though? Do we really want what we're asking for?
Yes.
Yes.
We do.
Because it'll hurt in the moment, but then you done wasted 10 years because you prefer to stick your head in the sand. And as Mel has pointed out, time as a woman is our most valuable asset. So, yes, the honesty matters.
It opens doors for both parties to be able, because there's always something that you have too, like, oh, since you mentioned that, or by the way, I watched the movie too, and da-da-da-da,
And then what happens? Fellas, where y'all at on that one? Then what happens? Like, oh, wait.
It should be cool, right?
I would think.
Things that are there. It is what I'm saying. I'm just saying it does open the door. And then we sometimes, like, how we are emotional. So we're going to respond like, man, or I didn't know that, or I wish I had all that emotions. But past all the emotions, try to barter something there.
Okay.
Since we all on a mission.
Go ahead. What you got, Amber T?
This is another example of the hypocrisy. when a man gets bored or whatever, he's not sexually satisfied in his union, and he's like, well, I want to open up our marriage and bring other people into the bedroom. And then she's all hurting in her feelings, but then because she wants to save the marriage or maintain him, she's like, okay. But then she starts getting into it, and now she's at, now her eye is wandering. And then he wants to be in his feelings, or she wants to bring men into their bedroom or start sleeping with other men after he's already been sleeping with other women. And so now all of a sudden you can understand how it's problematic, how it's compromising your union, because she wants to do what you were doing, what you've been doing.
Okay.
So y'all saying be quiet.
Don't
bring it up.
I said, don't even talk about it. Don't even talk about it. Okay, go ahead, Amber. Do you want to read that question?
Okay, so Daryl Jones of Facebook said, okay, this is a open show, ladies. When you are dating, how long before you tell him or her, okay, we don't need to use protection anymore? Be honest.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Y'all go ahead and talk about it.
Reasons, right? People use protection. Mel, she left. Not just kidding. But people do use protection for different reasons, so.
Yeah,
it just depends, right?
I would.
Some people do it so. I mean, not for different reasons. I mean, it only protects you from a couple of things, but you know what I mean. If somebody was ready to have children, and they say, so how long into it? Yeah, I don't have an answer for that one, but I know there's different reasons.
I would say I would completely agree with you, Candace. I feel like. To the person asking the question, that's kind of, to me, that is super private, and so I wonder why you want to know that from the ladies on the panel. But I would say, in general terms, again, I think it comes down to like your age and what you're comfortable with, and do you want to have children, and then also, I think it has a lot to do with how you perceive your own sexual health and how you perceive children. Because some women are like, okay, well, you cannot wear a condom, but, if you get me pregnant, I'll have an abortion. Or if you get me pregnant, run me my check because you're going to be paying child support. So it's really a big risk on yourself, not on me. And so what I've observed is that a woman's comfortability with using condoms or not using condoms directly relates to like how she feels about procreation.
All right. Okay, I'm going to answer now. Because it is an open show. That's why you're like, wait, this kind of personal. Here's the deal. To each his own. You have to know the risks and the benefits. And the benefit, we know it feels better. There's so many different risks when dating. So when you are younger, just as Amber D said, if you're in childbearing ages and all that other stuff, just know this can happen. And are you willing? Now, overall, I would say if you both are tested and you're clean and you got to be some serious trust there, real talk. Got to be some serious trust. Are you with somebody else? Am I with somebody else? And let me be clear. We do know with HIV that there's a 7 to 13 year incubation period. What do I mean by that? That means that it can lie dormant in your blood undetected for 7 to 13 years. So if you decide this is what we're going to do, you make it an adult decision. There you go. So, but understand,
Mr. Jones, because I'm seeing something now. So to help him out, wearing protection is not something we do to keep our insides away from you till later on when we get closer. Okay, because he said, how long does it before you say you don't have to wear it? Okay,
I'm gonna get to. I'm gonna get to that.
To keep you off.
I'm gonna get to that because if you listen to the last show, last week, so you got that part. So I did that. I got to do that. I got to entertain you. I got to do that part of it.
Okay.
Now, when you are in a relationship, and I told y'all last week, when you take off that, once those fluids get to transferring, listen, and you don't know why you acting nutty and crazy because his DNA is all in you. Remember, we're receivers, ladies. Don't say nothing. That was a decision that you consciously made. Now, when you wear protection, then you be like, oh, she out here with this dude. She ain't even attached. No, she ain't attached because she ain't got none of that in there. We know the right way. Yes, we do. I can hear my aunt right now, the good Reverend Doctor, in my head like, no sex until marriage. I got you. No, I got you, Reverend Hosey. But to be realistic here, that is an adult decision between both partners, and choose wisely. And that's all I'm going to say. But if you are just out here dating, and if you're roster dating, use protection. Real talk. Because when that condom comes off, both y'all, you be like, why is she acting like me? Or you acting like her? You listen, this thing is for real. And they be like, oh, then y'all start looking alike. Well, I guess so. Y'all got each other's DNA. Like what? Y'all been together so long, y'all starting to look alike. I believe it. It gets deep with all of that. It gets real deep. Go ahead, Amber T.
And I just want to kind of follow up as far as Daryl's question, like, when can I take a condom off? I don't know for other ladies' experience, but I imagine a lot of women have had this conversation. You're dealing with a man, and like that's what he's worried about. He's worried about a sensation in the moment, but then when he ends up impregnating a woman that he doesn't want to be with, or it turns out she's quite problematic, then now he's a victim. Like, you can't sit here and be worried about taking off condoms and then crying about you're a victim and why you have to pay child support.
And that's not just to him personally, but just generally speaking.
I don't think, but him personally. But I'm just saying that whole, because it's not,
because that can happen.
Men are worried about do I have to wear a condom? Like, okay, if all you're worried about is sensation, don't sit here and be confused and be a victim because now you're on child support for the next 18 years. Now you're linked up with this succubus demonic woman.
But you know how that happens, though. But you know how that happens if you listen to last week's show. The bait and switch. So she came off one way, and then she flipped the script on him. So, and it happens with the guys, too. It's like they come off one way, and then they flip the script on you. You be like, okay, wait, what happened? This is not the same person. Or in our situation, you have a guy to say, oh, I don't want a relationship. That's not what I'm looking for. And like you said at the beginning, just state that at the beginning. I don't want a relationship. And then they see you moving around and roster dating. Well, let's go back to the table because remember you said that you didn't want a relationship. So there's the bait and switch. So it's like, wait a minute. So then you want to condemn me because I'm roster dating when you set the standard. You said off top, this is not what you were looking for. And then they change their mind.
Right. And I feel like because procreation is such a big deal, as you said, Mel, choose very carefully. And I feel like what I hear from a lot of men is all they care about is sensation. But then when they get the consequences of the sensations, then it's I'm a victim.
All right, go ahead with Nate. Go ahead with Nate's comment.
So Nate W. from YouTube said, so she must have said, yes, give it to me raw.
Now, I gotta say, I answered the question, Daryl. That's it. The question, it's about trusting your partner. And I'll leave that there and you guys go ahead from there. But you do have that. Sometimes things occur and you be like, oh, snap. You know what I mean? You don't know in the heat of the moment. And then the next time you be like, no, we got to make sure this is right. You know what I'm saying? Then you have those that be like, I know if I was a guy and a chick be like, oh, well, go ahead and I want to do it raw. I'm concerned. If I was a guy, I'd be concerned. I'm so serious. I'd be like, oh, never mind. See, I couldn't have been a guy like, okay. And then you do have that question that's in the back of the mind. Like when they talk about the body count matters. Well, yeah, the body count matters, but it'd be like, well, how many other people you done been raw with? How many other people you hooking up? Orally. You know what I'm saying? So those are things that go through your mind, even though it's like open communication. But I want to know, do y'all really want open communication? Because if it ain't right, are you okay with us presenting to you and be like, that ain't right? Or do we need to dress it up as well? As far as like, if, with bedroom talk and being open, and honest. Can you handle the truth? Can you handle the open communication? I can't hear you. Got your mute on.
Most people can't. I would just shake my head, but most people can't. But it's healthy, but they usually it's emotional.
Yeah, let's have an open communication. Let's always be open and communicate. Okay, but is there a way? And then they accuse the female of being emotional, but is there a way it needs to be presented? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I want open communication. Oh, well, you ain't say it right. Man, just give me the script. Let me read off the script then, how I need to say this, Like, what is it that you want me to say? So people say, I want this, but can you handle it? Or do you really want it? Or you want me to say what you want me to say? What y'all got? Quiet?
I think...
Oh, I thought that was a statement.
It was a statement, but y'all was like, okay.
You know how true.
Period.
It gets silent when it's true, So,
right.
Yeah, we agree.
I mean,
Yes.
I will say that I think, I saw this TikTok video where this lady was presenting ways in which to say no. And so people in the comments section were like, I just say no. And I'm just like, what I heard sounded was like clearly in a professional setting. And so the people they were like, just tell people no, like you don't got to spare feelings and all this stuff. I'm like, whoa, wrong. In a career professional setting that you are hoping to advance in, absolutely the way you say it matters if like you want to move up in that company or something. So that's like just an example of like, it's not what you say, but how you say it, and then taking the time to be delicate with the other person's feelings in the end can be very much beneficial to you.
Okay, and so that's in your career.
Right.
Let's talk, we're at home. I'm supposed to be comfortable. My shoes are off at home.
Right.
Is there a way?
I agree. There's still a way, even at home, because I feel like if you care about someone, not only if you care about them, but if you care about them and your focus is the objective, like you want to achieve the goal. And if achieving the goal is going to be easily done by being delicate, do that. Because the main objective is, I want to achieve this change, or I want you to do that differently. So if it gets you faster from point A to point B by speaking nicely or carefully or whatever, then do that, because it's just going to get you to point B that much faster. Whereas if you're like, I should be able to just tell you and say it with any kind of tone and say whatever because that's how I feel. Well, now not only are you you're not going from A to B, you're going from A to Z. Like you're moving backwards. You're moving backwards away from your goal because you want to be adamant about not being intentional about how you communicate. That's what I'm saying. It's like, do you want the change? Is that what's important? Or
I hear you.
That you don't have to be mindful of your partner's feelings, and that's
that's taking. Let me tell y'all something. Katie, you want to weigh in before I weigh in?
Go ahead.
See, that is a lot. That is, if I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, this is something that I desire. Now I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to. Now I'm walking on eggshells with my partner. That's a problem. One, I'm supposed to be able to be me, so they know how I am. So if I'm saying, hey, listen, I like da-da-da-da-da this way. But if I know I got to walk on eggshells and my partner might be offended by the way that I speak or how I'm requesting it, maybe I might be like, I don't even feel like going through all that, trying to song and dance, do the whole Bojangle thing and tap dance to get one thing when I can go out here and get it. And I'm not saying me personally, but I'm just saying, just as a person, where they be like, well, this chick want to do it. I know with her, it's going to be a song and dance. I got to say it right. She going to be in her feelings. She going to think that I done cheated. She going to think I done been with somebody else already. Boom. She said she going to ball for apples. Let me get that real quick and come back and everybody's happy. But who's not happy is that one person who is missing something, but they can't even communicate with their spouse or their partner because of how sensitive their partner is. And there is the bait and switch, because a partner can come off real confident. There's been a lot of fellas out there to come off real confident, self-esteem jacked up. They come off confident, boom, boom, they get you, and then you sitting there talking to them, and they sitting there on the couch rolled up in the blanket, balled up. Talk about, can you make me some tea? I cannot. Like, what is happening here?
Well, I think, okay, so this is a great example of it goes both ways. Once again, with that hypocrisy, if you're a hypocritical person. I want to have the freedom to speak to you however I want. But then when your person is speaking to you however they want, then it's a problem. The same way men are like, respect, respect, respect. And she's nagging me, and she's complaining about this, but if she acts nicely, I would have did it. It's the same thing from a woman to a man as it is from a man to a woman. You can get your point across without without being disparaging or without causing unnecessary conflict.
But it comes because if you ask for this open communication and you got to dictate how I communicate, that's a problem. Salvage of YouTube said, in the blanket, yes, run that man some tea. It's a lot. All right, I got to go right here. James Johnson of Facebook said, what about women that wear weave, wigs, fake contacts, makeup, eyelashes, padded bras, etc.? That can be construed as bait and switch. The first time the dude sees her without her Catch a Man kit, I like it, he's going to be like, who is you? Who that woman?
That's funny.
Okay. Well, speak to it.
That is bait and switch.
That is the bait and switch, big time.
Stage one.
You know what? First date, take her swimming.
I disagree. I
Go ahead.
That men are very much attracted to the Catch a Man kit. They marry these women that utilize their Catch a Man kit, who invest in themselves, take care of themselves, and put on makeup and fake nails and eyelashes and all that. So that's what they're saying, but their actions don't actually align with that. And then you have like the all natural girls who are seen as plain and unappealing. So just because that's what they're saying consciously, that doesn't mean that's what they're actually doing. And I think that the Instagram model aesthetic,
the filters,
like how they talked about Kim Kardashian is natural beauty. Like, what? And so it's one of those things where it's just like, whatever.
Now see, this is he okay, presented this way. The makeup, the eyelashes, the padded bras, all that. Once you get to know her, if you listen to Steve Harvey, and then you realize that bra was padded. That's why I say 3 months is a theory. Okay, like, boom. See if that's it. You know if the eyelashes are real or not. And I'm gonna and then you can ask that question. I was asked that question. I thought it was cute. They're like, oh, you got your eyelashes on. I said, no, I don't.
Well, I mean, and also, I read a comment where they were like, women who do choose to wear makeup were saying, that it's a trivial argument. And like, she said, if I need to explain to a man, that it's adornment, it's ornamentation, and it's to make yourself feel good when you look in the mirror at yourself. And so she said, if I have to explain to a man that my eyelids are not actually gold, I don't want to be bothered.
But see, I mean, I get that part of it. Makeup, I'm not focusing.
Makeup.
Yeah, I'm not focusing on like the makeup because that just
body part.
makeup enhances beauty. But we're talking about like he said, like the fake contacts. So you are attracted to,
Those are fake too.
but sometimes and sometimes not because we come in all different shades, and you can look and be like, oh, okay, because my baby, she grown now, and I be looking like, man, how you get those eyes? I used to be like, oh, I liked it. You know what I mean? And they're hers. But the thing is, if you are attracted to that, whatever color her contacts are, and you're attracted to the long eyelashes, big boobs, because she had the padded bra, I'm reading the comment, that's what you're attracted to, long hair. So you think that it's real. And then you're like, oh, wait, until you see them on the dresser or on the nightstand, the eyelashes looking like spiders on the nightstand. And you know what I'm saying? You're like, wait a minute, what happened? Or you go to touch her hair and she like, no, don't touch my hair. But we know as black women, we be like, don't touch my hair. So he ain't never going to be able to run his fingers through her hair and get tangled up and find a stitch. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, you just don't know. Or you go and you see the wig stand, the white styrofoam at the house because you done made it to the bedroom. You're like, oh, wait, that's a wig. And then you look at this person and it's like, oh, wait, I'm not attracted to that person. So get to know the person, and then it ain't no, I'm going to get you sucker. They did it a long time ago. Remember that? That was a bait and switch back there. Oh, I'm going to get you sucker. She like, don't have me hop after you. Her leg was fake.
So,
Everything. Go ahead.
I think it's something you should definitely, I guess, disclose, or if you ask, like, if it matters to a man. But to me, as a black woman, I feel like I can tell most of the time when a woman's wearing a wig or has extensions. Is it just me? 'Cause I feel like I can tell most of the time.
That's a bad wig or bad extensions.
And
Unless you know actually what's going on. Unless you know what's actually going on. So with that being said, I got somebody knocking on the door. They're like, it's 12 o'clock. Come on. They knocking like, okay, it's 12. Get out of here. I'm about to hurry up and end this show. I have seen some bad wigs, the Party Max wigs. I don't know why these wigs is wigging like they doing too much. They look fake. But then you have those who have great installments. They calling them now. Mm-hmm. And you can't tell. The objective is to look good if that's what you want to do, or make it look as real as possible. So I'm not mad. You know, I ain't mad at dude. You like what you like, and you deal with what you deal with. The end. I was trying to get you guys, y'all asked y'all questions. We gave you some answers. There you go. But ladies, we got to be real. When we ask for open communication, we got to have open communication. And we have to be willing to accept it no matter about our feelings. That is so important. It's so important. So be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. Not in the way that you want it. Today's footnote, y'all already know, it's my slogan. It's okay to be you. And whatever you ask for, watch this, whatever you ask for, you're probably going to get it, but not in the way that you want it. So be careful what you ask for and make your decisions wisely. Find you, embrace you, most importantly, always love you. Until next week, people, you know what it is. 1, 2, 3. Shop Talk. Almost. You got it, lovely people. Hey, if you want to join in on this conversation, feel free to do so. Want to listen to it later? You can look at your favorite podcast at Shop Talk with Mel. Like us on all socials at Shop Talk with Mel. If you want to see today's guest, you can do so on YouTube. Shop Talk with Mel. It's easy. All Shop Talk with Mel. And if you would like to donate to Shop Talk with Mel, that information is presented below. All at Shop Talk with Mel. All right, lovely people. One more time. Find you, embrace you, most importantly, always love you. Until next week, people. 1, 2, 3. Shop Talk! Ha! We got it! We need to rehearse it. We got it.